essentially, right, we've got 3 candidates currently, but before that, before the Democratic primary, we had some Democratic debates. That's where I started paying attention to this, right? There was a massive clip that went out, it went viral and such. Loads of people were talking about it. And you had Zohran Mamdani, you had Andrew Cuomo, and then you had all the other Democratic candidates, right? And it was a debate, right? So the interviewers, the journalists, the moderators asked each candidate on stage, if you were lucky enough to become mayor, if you were to visit a foreign country, what would be the first one you would visit, right? So they asked that question to Andrew Cuomo. I believe he's the first to answer, and he says, I would visit Israel, right? I would visit Israel, especially at a time like now. Anti-Semitism is rampant. I would visit Israel. That's fine, no worries. Okay, that's his prerogative, right? He says Israel. And then the next candidate, I don't know his name. Next candidate, I would personally, I'd visit Israel. Okay, that's fine. 2 for 2, but I'm sure the next guy is going to be a bit more creative, right? So the guy says, the next guy, I'd visit Ukraine. All right. But I'd also visit Israel. Oh, okay. So everyone's saying Israel on stage, right? Zohran's at the end. They ask Zohran. He says, personally, what I would do is I would focus on the 5 boroughs in this city, and I would stay in New York, right? And I'll put my grievances aside with the grievances I have with Zohran, which I'm going to discuss later. That was a perfect response, okay? Talk about, and he isn't really anything special, Zohran. He's a socialist, right? But he's very different, okay? He is not the same, whereas the people he's going up against are all the same, right? Even Curtis Silwa, the Republican. He's very much your cookie cutter Republican, and Andrew Cuomo is not a cookie cutter Democrat. He seems more like a Republican, right? So this is what I'm saying. We've got a Andrew Cuomo, we've got a Zohran Mamdani, and then we've got a Curtis Silwa. We've got 3 candidates, right? If you look at the polling and if you look at what people are reporting as of today, but it's been like this for months now, Zohran has a massive lead, right? And they're saying, the Cuomo camp are saying that if Curtis Silwa would have dropped out, then it'd be very likely that Andrew would either come close to winning or win, right? Not by a significant margin, but winning at that. And what I would say to that is, what are you talking about? First and foremost, you're not even acting, and I'm not saying like, oh, you're a Democrat, that means it's good. I'm just saying you're not acting like a Democrat. You're running as a Democrat. He's saying he wants to slash taxes. He's saying he wants to cut crime. I agree, right? No worries. But that's not what Democrats campaign for. That's not the party lining. That's not what Democrats have always done. Now, Zohran is more, socialistic. He's saying he wants to not put more police on the streets. That's what Cuomo's saying. He's saying that he wants to, bring taxes up for the top 1%, right? So top 1%, right now they're paying 50%. 50%, what a joke. But they're paying 50%. He's saying he wants to bring it up to 52%, right? And that would make, millions and millions of dollars. And then he wants to make buses fast and free. And that's how he's going to pay for it. And all of this, right? Very socialistic. That's fine. No worries. But my main grievance with Zohran is not what he's saying, but the fact that he's identifying as a Muslim, right? He's saying, I am a proud Muslim. I am the first Muslim mayor on the precipice, the first Muslim mayoral candidate on the precipice of becoming mayor, right? He won't stop talking about Islam. He won't stop calling himself a Muslim. And yet he is doing a lot of things that are antithetical to Islamic values and Islamic traditions, right? I mean, for one, I saw him the other day. I didn't see him myself, but there was posts coming out that he was at a gay bar, right? He was at a gay bar, late last week. He's out there protesting and saying he's for LGBTQ, all of this, right? So, and if you're a Democrat, you can do that. You do what you want. But the fact that you're calling yourself a Muslim, you're running as a Muslim, and yet you're encouraging this type of stuff. Now, he's 12 a Shia, so, you know, that's a conversation in and of itself, but frankly, it doesn't really relate here. We've got a Zohran Mamdani that's calling himself a Muslim, and I would contest that, frankly, right? Because of some of the things that he's... And I've heard some other Muslim people who are saying, you know what, it doesn't matter what he's doing, it doesn't matter, you know, how spiritual he is and all of this. The only thing that matters is that he is, you know, representing Muslims, and he'll make it easier for Muslim representation. I don't think so, right? We should not be diluting our faith, right? We should not be being apologetic over our faith, right? We shouldn't be being any of these things. We are talking about a New York City, right, who was very anti-Islam just after 9/11, right? When the Twin Towers came down in Lower Manhattan 20 years ago, the anti-Muslim hate was humongous, right? It's never been, I would argue, it was never as big, and it even came to the UK also, you know? So we've come so far since then. Why are we trying to be apologetic? Why are we apologizing over our faith? And this is what it seems like this Zohran is doing. But nevertheless, that's my main grievance with him. What I will say is that the election is tomorrow, and I would predict, right, and I'm very confident in saying that Zohran isn't just going to win. I think it's going to be a landslide, right? I think it's going to be a landslide. I remember this time last year, I was speaking to my politics teachers, right? Because I did A-level politics, and I was telling them that Trump isn't just going to win, it's going to be a landslide. He is going to win massively. He's going to win all 7 swing states. He's going to win the popular vote, you know, which is a rarity amongst Republicans. Republicans never win the popular vote. And what happened? That happened, right? He won the popular vote. He won all 7 swing states, and it was a massive victory for the MAGA base. And I think the same thing is going to happen, because at the end of the day, it's a tide turning. We're seeing what Trump's doing in office now. Some of it good, some of it, well, a lot of it bad. And people have had enough, and hasn't even been a year. So now people want to try out the other side, right? This has always happened in politics. Now people want to try out Zohran. They want to see what he's about. And I believe that come 2 days' time here in the UK, we will see that Zohran won massively. I think Andrew Cuomo is going to have a massive fail. And I hope he does also, because this is a guy. I mean, I remember Zohran just did a podcast on I think it was the Andrew Schultz podcast. I think it's called Flagrant. And he got 800,000 views in 24 hours. A massive amount of views in 24 hours. And the Andrew Cuomo guy, he went on, I think it was one of the Paul brothers podcast, and he didn't even scratch 100,000 views, right, in 24 hours. This guy is irrelevant, frankly. He's going to do a lot worse than people think, than people are predicting. Those are my takes and what I predict to happen tomorrow in the New York City mayoral election.